Hi. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs has recently brought in a notification suggesting significant changes to the manner in which cross-border mergers are undertaken in India. Before we get into what the amendments are, let's first understand what a cross-border merger is. Under cross-border merger, a foreign company merges into an Indian company, or an Indian company merges into a foreign company. Under these rules, the flavor of the season are reverse mergers. Now, in a reverse merger, many startups who had initially set up their base outside of India for either raising of funds, ease of compliance, etc., are now considering moving their domicile back to India. Many of these companies are resorting to something called as reverse flip under the cross-border rules to move their headquarters from an overseas jurisdiction to India. Companies such as PhonePe, Grow, and Pepperfry have moved their headquarters from countries like US, Cayman Islands, Singapore back to India. Recently, you would have also seen newspaper articles where Pine Labs also has got an approval from NCLT to move its headquarters from Singapore to India. Now, in case of Pine Labs, there is another leg of merger that is pending, but the initial hurdle of getting an approval from NCLT has already been achieved. Let's understand what a cross-border merger involves using a live case study. Now, as a disclaimer, the case which I'm going to discuss is already in the public domain and the merger has already been concluded. The case is that of Pepperfry. Now, Pepperfry had its holding companies in Cayman Islands and in Cyprus. Through a merger scheme, the holding companies in Cayman Islands and Cyprus were merged into the Indian company, which is Pepperfry. It was undertaken through a two-staged process where the Cyprus company got merged into the Indian company as a first step, and as a second step in the same merger scheme, the Cayman Island company was merged into the Indian company. If we read the scheme of amalgamation, it says that the Cypriot company had initially transferred or changed its domiciliation from Cyprus to Mauritius. So in effect, in step 1, the Cypriot company stroke the Mauritian company got merged into the Indian company. Now let's talk about the amendments. The notification which has come up on 9th of September now says that for companies that are contemplating merger involving a parent, overseas parent with its wholly owned subsidiary can now be merged with an approval of the regional director, and companies need not necessarily go to the National Company Law Tribunal or NCLT. This is a very significant progress or a step in enabling cross-border mergers, facilitating reverse flips. This notification is only applicable when a parent, an overseas parent, wants to merge with its Indian wholly owned subsidiary, which is a reverse flip case. What are the implications of this? There are positives as well as negatives. The positives involve that if there is a simple, straightforward merger of a foreign parent into an Indian company, then one does not need to go through an elaborate process of an NCLT route, which may take anywhere between 6 to 12 months. It can be done through a simple approval by the registrar, by the regional director under a specific provision of the company law. The negatives involve that in case there are objections which have come in either from the registrar of companies or from the official liquidator, then under the provisions of the company law, the regional director is empowered to refer that matter to the National Company Law Tribunal if he feels it's uncomfortable for him to approve the merger or it has received some significant comments or adverse comments from regulatory authorities. If this becomes the case, then such kind of mergers may take significantly longer time than even 6 to 12 months, which was applicable in an NCLT route. The other regulation talks about a prior approval by the Reserve Bank of India by both the transferor and the transferee companies. To my mind, this does not look like a significant impediment because this provision was already there in the law, and the Reserve Bank of India has already come up with regulations where deemed prior approval is accorded if the transferor and the transferee companies meet certain prescribed guidelines. It's up to us now to see how these amended regulations take shape on ground and what approach does the regional director take in approving these mergers when a foreign parent is merging with its Indian wholly owned subsidiary. If anyone wants to speak more about this, happy to chat. Please drop in your notes in comments below. Thank you so much for listening.